Cyclone, what happened? Bond is no longer an agent, he's now the mission. Kravchenko must face the blood on his own hands. Lena is running from a past she can't outrun. And the mole has just moved ahead of them all. Fire. What's next in part 2? The true face of the traitor inside STU. The secret file that can get anyone killed. Kravchenko's testimony that could change the world. Oh, and Bond's final choice that will make him a hero or a ghost. Hourglass not done. Get ready. Because the truth never stays buried. It only waits. Sir Nigel Harrington sat in his sunlit conservatory overlooking Lake Geneva, sipping Earl Grey and reading the Financial Times. To any observer, he was the picture of retired elegance. His head of security, a former French Foreign Legion operative named Laurent, entered silently. He's in London. But he'll come here, Laurent said. Of course he will. Harrington folded his newspaper neatly. Bond was always predictable, honorably so. He'll follow the trail, and the trail leads to me. We could eliminate him before he leaves the UK. No. Let him come. Let him walk into the room. I'd like to look him in the eye before he dies. Harrington smiled. After all, he loved her too. We have that in common. And Kravchenko? Leave him. He's a broken man playing revolutionary. But Bond is a true believer. And true believers are dangerous. Harrington stood, gazing at the lake. Prepare the house. I want it to look welcoming. And Laurent, use non-lethal measures initially. I want him alive when I speak to him. And if he refuses to listen? Harrington's smile faded. Then make it painful. The locker contained everything Eris promised, and one extra item. A sealed envelope with a single photograph inside. Bond recognized it instantly. Elena and Harrington, standing together at a garden party, glasses raised, smiling. On the back, Elena's handwriting. Nigel says the future is digital. I say the future is human. We made a bet. I hope I lose. Bond stared at the image, the truth settling like a stone in his gut. Harrington hadn't just been her superior. He'd been her friend. He'd bet against her. And when she threatened to win that bet, he'd erased her. His phone vibrated, a call from an unknown Swiss number. He answered, silent. James. Harrington's voice was warm, almost paternal. I've been expecting your call. I'm not calling. I'm coming. I know. And I welcome it. There's so much you don't understand, about Elena, about Prometheus, about why some truths must remain buried. A pause. Come to Geneva. Let's talk like civilized men. No weapons. No tricks. Just truth. You wouldn't know truth if it shot you. Harrington chuckled softly. Perhaps. But I know what happens if you go public with that list. War. Economic collapse. And Elena's memory becoming nothing more than a footnote in a scandal. Is that what you want? Bond's knuckles whitened around the phone. What do you want? To offer you a choice. Expose the list, destroy the world she loved, or bring it to me, and let me show you how to use it to make that world better. Harrington's tone shifted, earnest now. She wasn't just my colleague, James. She was my protégé, my friend. Her death broke something in me too. Lies. All of it. But Bond needed to hear them, needed to hear the performance before he tore the stage down. I'll be in Geneva in 12 hours. I'll have tea waiting. The line went dead. Eris, now operating from a van parked near Camden Market, breached Harrington's home security network. Inside, he found more than firewalls and cameras. He found video files, dated the night of Elena's death. He hesitated, then pressed play. The footage was from a traffic camera near Vienna's Stadtpark. Elena's car stopped at a red light. A black SUV pulled alongside. A man stepped out, Ivan Volkov. He spoke to her through the window. She shook her head, began to drive away. Then the SUV rammed her vehicle into a stone bridge. Not an accident. A murder. Ordered, clear, clinical. And in the background of the footage, watching from a parked car, Alistair Finch. His father. Eris slumped back, nausea rising. He'd known his father was cold. He hadn't known he was a killer. He downloaded the file, sent it to Bond's untraceable phone with a single message. Now you know. Now finish it. On the Eurostar speeding toward Geneva, Bond watched the video 3 times. Each time, his rage grew colder, sharper, more focused. He typed a reply to Eris. Does Lena know? Eris wrote back seconds later. No. And Kravchenko doesn't either. He thought it was an accident. Harrington made sure of it. So Harrington hadn't just killed Elena. He'd let her closest friend blame himself for a decade. He'd turned Kravchenko into a weapon of grief. And he'd used that weapon to build Midnight Protocol, only to steal it back once it was ready. The ultimate betrayal. By a man who called himself civilized. Bond looked out at the blurring countryside, Harrington's photograph of Elena still in his hand. She smiled up at him, forever frozen in a moment before the betrayal. This time, he whispered to her memory, the right side wins. Finch stood before a map of Europe, Bond's predicted route highlighted in red. He'll go straight to Harrington. He won't wait, won't plan. He's emotional. That makes him predictable. Agent Carter nodded. We have a team in Geneva. We can intercept. No. Let him reach Harrington. Then take them both. Sir. Harrington has outlived his usefulness. And Bond has become a liability. Finch turned, his face stone. Clean extraction of all materials. Leave no witnesses. Including Harrington. Especially Harrington. Finch's eyes were devoid of remorse. Some graves need to be deeper than others. Kravchenko watched news coverage of the summit fallout on a grainy television. Lena sat beside him, her head in her hands. They're calling you a terrorist, she said softly. I know. And Bond is now a fugitive. I know that too. She looked up, eyes red. Was it worth it? Any of it? Kravchenko didn't answer immediately. He thought of Elena's laugh, of Bond's eyes in that final moment, of the data now circulating in the world's underground networks. Truth, once released, could not be taken back. Ask me in a week, he said finally. When we see what grows from the ashes. Bond stepped off the train into the cool Swiss night, the SIG sour hidden under his coat, Elena's photograph in his pocket, and Harrington's address burning in his mind. He didn't look like a spy anymore. He looked like a man with nothing left to lose. And that, he knew, was the most dangerous thing of all. As he melted into the city's shadows, one thought echoed in his mind. Harrington. Truth. Time to see which one would kill him first. Harrington's Geneva estate was a masterpiece of understated wealth, a restored 18th-century villa on the shores of Lake Geneva, shielded by ancient trees and state-of-the-art security. Bond watched from the tree line, thermal goggles revealing heat signatures of 4 guards patrolling the grounds, 2 more stationed at the main entrance, and 1 inside the conservatory. Harrington himself, sitting motionless. Eris's voice whispered through a bone conduction earpiece, their last secure link. Security system is military grade. Motion sensors, pressure plates on the lawn, drone patrols every 7 minutes. But there's a blind spot, the old boathouse. It has a service tunnel that leads to the wine cellar. Guarded. *1. But he takes a cigarette break at 11:45. You'll have a 3-minute window. Bond checked his watch. 11:42. What about Harrington? He's alone. But Bond, something's off. His panic button hasn't been activated. He hasn't called for extra security. It's like he's waiting for you. He is. Bond moved, a shadow among shadows. The guard was a large man with a bored expression, leaning against the doorframe, a cigarette glowing in the dark. At exactly 11:45, he stepped outside, blowing smoke into the night. Bond slipped past him, into the damp darkness of the boathouse. The service entrance was hidden behind stacked life preservers, a heavy metal door with a keypad. Eris's voice again. Code is 7284. But it'll trigger a silent alarm in Harrington's study. He'll know you're inside. Let him. Bond entered the code. The door clicked open. Sir Nigel Harrington sat in a high-backed armchair, a pot of tea steaming on a silver tray beside him. He didn't look up when Bond entered, gun raised. You're late, James. I expected you 20 minutes ago. Traffic, Bond said, keeping the SIG trained on Harrington's chest. You watched the video. The night Elena died. Harrington finally looked up. His eyes were calm, almost sad. Yes, it was regrettable. Regrettable. Bond's finger tightened on the trigger. You ordered her murder. I ordered her silence. There's a difference. Harrington poured 2 cups of tea, his hands steady. She was going to expose Prometheus. Not just the project, the people behind it. People in Moscow, Washington, Berlin. People who would have started a war to keep their secrets. So you killed her to prevent a war? I killed her to prevent the wrong war. Harrington gestured to the chair opposite him. Sit, please. If you're going to shoot me, at least let me explain why you shouldn't. Bond didn't move. Talk. Prometheus was never just a tool for economic warfare. It was a deterrent. A way to keep the global balance without bombs. But Elena, she saw it as a weapon. Because it was in the wrong hands. Harrington sipped his tea. My hands were the right ones. Until Kravchenko stole it. You funded him. I guided him. I needed Midnight Protocol completed. And he needed purpose after Elena's death. It was a mutually beneficial arrangement. Bond's jaw tightened. You used her death to create a weapon. I used her legacy to perfect a shield. Harrington placed his cup down. The world is a fragile place, James. Sometimes, to protect it, you must break a few pieces. And the list, the names, are people like me. People who make the ugly choices so the world stays pretty. Harrington stood slowly. Which is why I'm going to give you a choice, James. Join me. Help me control Midnight Protocol. Use it to dismantle the very systems that killed Elena. Or shoot me, and watch the world burn when the wrong people get that list. He walked to a wall safe, entered a code, and pulled out a slim dossier. This is every operation, every payment, every secret Prometheus was built to hide. With this, you could tear it all down. But only if you work with me. Bond lowered his gun an inch. "Why would you give this to me?" "Because I'm dying, James. Pancreatic cancer. 6 months, maybe less." Harrington's voice softened. "And I don't want Elena's death to be for nothing. I want her truth to live. But it needs a guardian. Someone with a conscience. Someone like you." He extended the dossier. Bond hesitated. The man was a killer, a liar, a manipulator. But he was also offering the very weapon Bond needed to destroy everything he hated. Eris's voice crackled in his ear, urgent. "Bond, get out. STU teams just breached the perimeter." Harrington triggered a silent alarm. "He's stalling you." Bond's eyes snapped to Harrington's hand, resting on a button under the tea tray. Too late. The conservatory doors burst open. Alistair Finch entered, flanked by 4 STU operatives in full tactical gear. His helmet was off, his scarred face exposed, his eyes cold. "Sir Nigel Harrington," Finch said, his voice flat. "You are under arrest for treason, espionage, and conspiracy to commit acts of economic terrorism." Harrington smiled thinly. "Alistair. Still doing others' dirty work, I see." Finch ignored him, turning to Bond. "Captain Bond, stand down and surrender your weapon." Bond didn't move. "You knew about Elena. You were there." "I was following orders." "Whose orders?" Finch's expression didn't change. "Orders that kept a war from starting. Sometimes sacrifices are necessary." "She wasn't a sacrifice. She was a person. So are the millions who would have died if she'd leaked Prometheus." Finch raised his sidearm. "Now, for the last time, stand down." Harrington chuckled. "He won't, Alistair. He's not like us. He still believes in heroes." Finch's finger tightened on the trigger, but not toward Bond. Toward Harrington. A single shot. Silenced. Precise. Harrington staggered, a red bloom spreading over his crisp white shirt. He looked down, surprised, then smiled faintly at Bond. "Finish it, James." He collapsed. Finch turned his weapon to Bond. "Harrington was a liability. You've become one too." The STU operatives raised their rifles. Bond moved first. He kicked the tea tray into the air, scalding liquid and porcelain shards flying. In the chaos, he grabbed Harrington's dossier and dove behind a marble column as bullets shredded the air around him. Finch barked orders. "Flank him. I want that dossier intact." Bond fired twice. 2 operatives fell. He broke for the French windows, shattered through them into the night. Bond ran through manicured hedges, the dossier tucked inside his jacket. Behind him, shouts, footsteps, the whir of drones taking to the air. Eris's voice, frantic. "Head east, there's a drainage tunnel that leads to the lake. I've disabled the drones, but you have maybe 90 seconds." Bond found the grate, wrenched it open, slid into darkness just as floodlights swept the lawn above. The tunnel was narrow, filthy, flowing with icy water. He crawled, the sound of pursuit fading behind him. At the end, moonlight, and a small motorboat, engine idling. Lena sat at the helm, her face pale but determined. "Get in." Bond climbed into the boat as Lena gunned the engine, speeding across the black water toward the French shore. "How did you find me?" he shouted over the wind. "Eris." He tracked Harrington's alarm. "He thought you might need an exit." She glanced back. "They'll have patrol boats. We have to reach the shore before they cut us off." Bond looked at her. "You know, don't you? About Elena." Lena's eyes glistened. Kravchenko told me. After Geneva, he put the pieces together. Harrington played him. Played all of us. Where is he? Waiting. He has a plan. But he needs you. Bond looked down at the dossier in his hands. Harrington's last offering. Truth, or another lie. He opened it. Inside, alongside financial records and encrypted files, was a photograph. Harrington, much younger, standing between a smiling Elena and a man Bond recognized instantly. The current Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And handwritten beneath, Prometheus wasn't NATO. It was never NATO. It was ours. Finch stood on Harrington's lawn, watching the boat disappear into the night. Agent Carter approached, grim. He got away, sir. With the dossier. I know. Finch's voice was quiet. Activate protocol excision. Scrub Harrington's records. All of them. And prepare a statement. Sir Nigel Harrington, deceased in a home invasion. James Bond, rogue agent, wanted for his murder. And the Prime Minister? He will be informed that the situation is contained. Finch turned, his face hardening. And Carter, find my son. He's been aiding Bond. Bring him in. Quietly. And if he resists? Finch's eyes were empty. Then he made his choice. Kravchenko waited in a small stone cottage nestled in the French Alps. When Bond and Lena entered, he didn't look surprised, just weary. Harrington is dead, Bond said. I know. Kravchenko gestured to a newsfeed on a tablet. British tycoon found dead in Geneva. They're already spinning the story. Bond threw the dossier onto the table. He gave me this. Said it was the truth. Kravchenko opened it, his eyes scanning the pages. Slowly, his expression shifted from suspicion to shock to something like grief. He was telling the truth, Kravchenko whispered. Prometheus wasn't a NATO project. It was a private enterprise. Funded by him, by the British PM, by half a dozen billionaires. They weren't building a weapon for governments. They were building one for themselves. To control the global economy, Lena finished, her voice hollow. To own it. Bond looked from Kravchenko to the dossier, the pieces locking into place. Harrington hadn't been a patriot. He'd been a capitalist. And Elena had died because she threatened not just secrets, but profits. What now? Lena asked. Kravchenko closed the dossier. Now we finish what she started. We expose them all. Not with hacking. Not with viruses. With the one thing they can't control. What's that? The truth. Kravchenko met Bond's eyes. And we deliver it to the one person they can't silence. Who? The public. Kravchenko's gaze was fierce now. We take it to the press. To every news outlet in the world. We burn their empire in the light of day. Bond stood on the cottage's small porch, looking out at the moonlit mountains. Inside, Kravchenko and Lena prepared files, encrypted drives, press packets. Eris's final message had come through an hour ago. My father knows I helped you. I'm going dark. If you're going to do this, do it now. And Bond, make it hurt. Bond scrolled through the dossier again, stopping at the photograph of Elena, young and alive and believing in a better world. He thought of Harrington's tea, Finch's cold eyes, the Prime Minister's smiling face in the photo. Some men built empires. Others built graves. It was time to tear both down. He walked back inside. Kravchenko looked up. Well? Kravchenko asked. Bond picked up an encrypted drive. Let's go to war. Martin Croft, veteran investigative journalist for BBC Panorama, was nursing his third coffee of the night when an encrypted file arrived in his personal Dropbox. No sender. No subject. Just 2 words. Elena's truth. He almost deleted it, another conspiracy nut. But something made him open it. Inside, financial records, contracts, video depositions, photographs, and a name that made his blood run cold. The British Prime Minister, linked to a shadow project called Prometheus, with a subfolder labeled Elena Petrova, Termination Order. Croft had covered enough scandals to know real evidence when he saw it. This wasn't a leak. This was a detonation. He called his editor. Wake up the legal team. And get me secure studio space. We're breaking a story that's going to change everything. Prime Minister Alastair Reeves was in the middle of an early morning security briefing when his Chief of Staff, Helen Vance, entered without knocking, her face ashen. Sir, we have a problem. BBC Panorama has files. Prometheus. Harrington. Elena Petrova. They're preparing to air in 2 hours. Reeves didn't blink. He'd been in politics long enough to know that panic was a luxury he couldn't afford. Who leaked? Unknown. But the files are detailed. Bank transfers, contracts with your signature, video of the Vienna incident. The Vienna incident was an accident. Not in these files, sir. Reeves stood, walked to the window overlooking Horse Guards parade. Get me the DG of MI6 and the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police. I want every media outlet in this country reminded of the Official Secrets Act. And if they run the story anyway? Reeves turned, his eyes cold. Then we remind them what happens to traitors. They watched the news on a wall of monitors. BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, Der Spiegel. All were teasing a major investigation into high-level corruption and covert economic warfare. Kravchenko sat still, his hands folded. They will try to kill the story. Threats, bribes, legal injunctions. They'll fail, Bond said. Croft is old school. He doesn't scare. It's not him I'm worried about. Kravchenko turned to Lena, who was monitoring police frequencies. What are they doing? MI6 just activated protocol blackout. They're pressuring internet providers to block the files. And there's an Interpol red notice issued for you and Bond. Terrorism and murder. Bond's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. They're coming for Croft. He's at his sister's house in Surrey. Get him out. A heiress. Still in the game. Bond stood. I'm going to Surrey. You'll walk into a trap, Kravchenko said quietly. Probably. Then why go? Bond met his eyes. Because someone has to. Martin Croft was packing a go-bag when headlights swept across his sister's living room curtains. Not one car. 3. He peered outside, black SUVs, no plates. Men in dark suits emerging, moving with purpose. His sister, Emily, came downstairs, tying her robe. Martin. What's going on? Take Ben and go out the back. Now. But. Now, Em. She fled upstairs to get her son. Croft grabbed his laptop and the encrypted drive, shoved them into a laundry chute, then picked up a fireplace poker just as the front door exploded inward. 2 men entered, armed with suppressed pistols. Mr. Croft, you're coming with us. I don't think so. A voice from the hallway. He's right. He's not. Bond stepped into the room, Saiji raised. The lead agent turned, recognition flashing in his eyes. Bond. Leave. Now, we have orders. So do I. Bond's gaze didn't waver. And mine don't involve letting you kidnap journalists. A standoff. 2 guns on Bond. 1 on them. Then a crash from upstairs, Emily screaming. Bond moved. Agent 1 fired. Bond sidestepped, the bullet burying itself in the wall. He closed the distance, disarmed the man with a wristlock throw, elbow to the throat. Agent 2 aimed at Croft. Bond threw the fireplace poker. It struck the agent's hand, gun clattering. Bond followed with a spinning back kick to the chest, then a hammer fist to the temple. The agent dropped. The 3rd man appeared from the kitchen, rifle raised. Bond shoved Croft behind the sofa just as automatic fire shredded the upholstery. He returned fire. 3 shots. 1 hit the rifle, 1 hit the shoulder, 1 missed. The man retreated, shouting into a comms. Target secured. Extraction compromised. Requesting. A shot from outside. Silence. Bond peered out. The man lay in the driveway, a single bullet hole in his forehead. On the road, a motorcycle revved, then sped away. The rider wore black, helmeted, anonymous. Heiress? Or someone else? Bond pulled Croft to his feet. Where's your family? Back garden. They have a boat on the river. Go. Now. Don't stop until you're in Scotland. The story will run, but not if you're dead. Bond handed him a burner phone. Use this. 1 number in it. Call when you're safe. And Croft. Don't trust anyone. Croft nodded, gripped Bond's arm. Thank you. Then he was gone, vanishing into the dawn mist toward the Thames. Bond watched him go, then turned back to the house. He retrieved the laptop and drive from the laundry chute. On the laptop screen, a single file was open, a video. He pressed play. It showed Prime Minister Reeves, 10 years younger, in a meeting with Harrington and a man Bond didn't recognize. Reeves's voice, clear and cold. If she talks, we lose everything. Handle it. Harrington nodded. It will look like an accident. The video ended. Bond stared at the frozen frame. This wasn't just evidence. This was a death sentence, for Reeves. And for anyone who brought it to light. Alastair Finch stood in the ruins of Croft's sister's living room, staring at the bodies of his men. Agent Carter approached, holding a shell casing. 9mm. Not Bond's caliber. Someone else was here. A 3rd player, Finch murmured. Harrington had allies we didn't know about. What do? We adapt. Finch turned, his face like stone. Bond has the video. He'll try to get it to the press. I want every route out of the country locked down. Airports, trains, ports. And I want his face on every screen in Britain. He's no longer a rogue agent. He's a terrorist. And the Prime Minister? The Prime Minister, Finch said softly, will do what he does best. Deny. And then he'll order us to clean up his mess. He looked at the blood on the carpet, thinking of his son, of Bond, of Elena. So many bodies. And the worst, he knew, were still to come. While Bond was in Surrey, Kravchenko and Lena weren't idle. From their Strasbourg safehouse, they launched a digital blitz, uploading fragments of the Prometheus files to decentralized networks, dark web forums, encrypted activist channels. Not the whole story, just enough to ignite curiosity. A bank transfer here. A redacted contract there. A voice recording of Reeves saying, "The economy is a weapon, and we hold the trigger." By 9 a.m., #Prometheus was trending on Twitter in 12 countries. By 9:15, the BBC confirmed they would air the Panorama special at 8 p.m. that night. By 9:30, the Prime Minister's office issued a statement. These files are a fabrication by hostile foreign actors. We will not be blackmailed by lies. Lena smiled bitterly. He's scared. He should be, Kravchenko said. Truth is like radiation. You can't see it, but it kills you slowly. Bond drove a stolen van toward the Channel Tunnel, the laptop and drive hidden in a spare tire. Every police frequency he scanned crackled with his description. Armed and dangerous. Former intelligence officer. Suspected in the murder of Sir Nigel Harrington. Consider extreme caution. He changed his appearance at a truck stop, hair dyed dark, glasses, a worn jacket. But his eyes gave him away. They always did. At the tunnel entrance, security was tripled. Armed officers checked every vehicle, every face. Bond parked behind a row of lorries, weighing his options. Go through and risk capture. Or go around and lose time. His burner phone buzzed. A text. Don't take the tunnel. They're waiting. Go to Calais docks. Berth 17. Ship named Nordic Star. Ask for Captain Larson. He'll get you to Belgium. Eris again. Still guiding him. Still risking everything. Bond replied. Why are you doing this? The answer came seconds later. Because my father killed her too. And I'm tired of lying. At 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, BBC Panorama aired. Martin Croft, speaking from an undisclosed location, laid out the evidence with chilling precision. Bank records, contracts, emails, and the video. Prime Minister Reeves, giving the order. The nation watched in stunned silence. In Strasbourg, Kravchenko and Lena watched too. When the video played, Kravchenko closed his eyes. Elena, he whispered. Finally. In Downing Street, Reeves watched with his inner circle, his face pale but defiant. When it ended, he stood. Deny it all. Call it a deepfake. And find Croft. Find Bond. Find everyone involved. In a safe house in Antwerp, Bond watched on a small tablet, Captain Larson beside him. That's going to start a war, Larson said quietly. It already has, Bond replied. Now we see who wins. Prime Minister Alastair Reeves stood before a mirror, adjusting his tie with steady hands. Behind him, the muted television replayed the Panorama special. His own face, his own voice, the order that would end his career if he let it. He didn't plan to let it. Helen Vance entered, holding a tablet. The Commons is demanding a statement. The opposition is calling for your resignation. 2 junior ministers have already stepped down. Let them. Reeves turned, his expression calm. The public hasn't decided yet. Right now, they see a deep fake, a conspiracy, a smear job by a rogue agent and a dead oligarch. We need to give them a villain they can understand. Bond. Bond is a ghost. We need something louder. Something bigger. Reeves took the tablet, scrolling through a classified dossier. What about Kravchenko? He's vanished. But we have his sister. Reeves looked up sharply. His sister. Maria Kravchenko. Schoolteacher in Vilnius. She hasn't spoken to him in years, but the press doesn't need to know that. Reeves allowed a thin smile. Leak it. Terrorist mastermind's family protected by European governments. Let the tabloids run with it. And get me the Home Secretary. I want Bond declared a national security threat. Shoot on-site authority for all agencies. And MI6? Tell C, I want Bond's head on a platter. And if he can't deliver it, I'll find someone who can. Alistair Finch watched the panorama broadcast in his darkened office, the blue light flickering across his scarred face. On his desk lay a file, thicker than he'd like, containing every operation, every cover-up, every lie he'd told to protect Prometheus, including the one that got Elena Petrova killed. His secure line rang. He answered without speaking. "You've seen it," Prime Minister Reeves said, no greeting. "I have. Is it real? The video?" "Yes." A pause. Tense. "Can it be buried?" "It's already out of the grave. Burying it again will take more than a shovel. Then use a bulldozer." Reeves's voice hardened. "I'm authorizing Operation Clean Sweep. Eliminate all loose ends. Bond, Kravchenko, the journalist, everyone, including your own people, especially my own people. This didn't happen. Do you understand?" Finch understood perfectly. He'd been the bulldozer before. Now he was part of the debris. "I'll handle it," he said, and hung up. He opened his desk drawer, removed a pistol, checked the magazine. Then he typed a message on a burner phone. "He's coming for you. Don't trust anyone, even me." He sent it to his son's encrypted address. Eris would know what it meant. And hopefully, he'd be smart enough to run. Bond sat in the cramped cabin of the Nordic Star, reviewing the files on Croft's laptop. Beyond the video, there were bank trails, shell companies, and a list of beneficiaries. Politicians, bankers, arms dealers, all profiting from Prometheus. One name stood out, Vigil Holdings, a private military contractor with ties to Reeves. They'd provided security for the Vienna lab the night Elena died. Bond's burner buzzed. "Eris. Reeves is spinning the narrative. He's calling you a traitor, Kravchenko a terrorist. They're going after Kravchenko's sister in Vilnius." Bond typed back. "Can you warn her?" "Already did. She's moving to a safe house." "But Bond, there's something else. My father just messaged me. He told me not to trust him." "What does that mean?" "It means he's been ordered to clean house. And I'm on the list." Bond stared at the screen. Finch turning on his own son. How far had this rot spread? "Get out of the country," Bond wrote. "Now." "I can't. Not yet. There's a mole inside STU. Someone higher than my father. They've been feeding Reeves intelligence. I'm close to finding out who." "Eris, don't. Take care of yourself, Bond. And finish this. For Elena." The connection went dead. Maria Kravchenko was packing a suitcase when the knock came at her apartment door. Not the police, they would have announced themselves. This was quiet, insistent. She peered through the peephole. Two men in dark suits, earpieces, blank expressions. She backed away, dialing her brother's emergency number. He answered on the first ring. "Maria." "They're here." "How many?" "Two. Outside. Listen to me. There's a fire escape in your bedroom. Go now. Don't take anything. I'll meet you at the safe house." She hung up, climbed out the window just as the front door splintered open. On the street below, a black sedan waited, engine running. A woman leaned against it. "Lena." "Get in," she said. Maria didn't hesitate. Eris traced the leak inside STU to a senior analyst named Graham Shaw, a man with 20 years of service, a clean record, and a daughter in private school paid for by a scholarship from Vigil Holdings. Shaw had been filtering STU intelligence to Reeves's office for years. He'd flagged Elena's research. He'd alerted Harrington to her plans. He'd even arranged the accident. Eris hacked Shaw's personal cloud, downloading everything: emails, transfers, logs. Then he sent a copy to Bond and another to Croft at the BBC. He was about to log off when the door to his workshop burst open. Shaw stood there, gun raised. "You shouldn't have dug so deep, Eris." "You killed her," Eris said quietly. "For a scholarship. For a better life. My daughter's life." Shaw's hand shook. "I didn't want her to die, but she was going to expose everything. What was I supposed to do?" "Not that." Shaw fired. Bond received Eris's files just as the news alert flashed on his phone. Breaking: STU analyst found dead in London workshop. Police investigating possible suicide. Suicide. Of course. Bond scrolled through the files, his rage crystallizing into something colder, sharper. Shaw was a pawn. Reeves was the king. And Finch. Maybe a knight, maybe a bishop, but definitely on the board. He called Kravchenko. "They killed Eris." A pause. Then, softly, "I'm sorry. We need to move. Now, Reeves will escalate. He'll come for us with everything he has. What do you propose?" "We don't hide. We attack." "Attack what?" "The source." Bond pulled up a map on the laptop. "Vigil Holdings. Their headquarters in Rotterdam. If we can get inside their servers, we can prove Reeves's connection to Elena's death. And we can burn his empire to the ground. That's a suicide mission. Not if we do it right." Finch stood over his son's body in the workshop, the gun still in Eris's hand. Planted, of course. Shaw had done his job well. Too well. Carter entered, his face grim. "Shaw's gone. Cleared out his accounts and left the country." "Find him." "Sir, with all due respect." "Why?" "He did what we needed. He killed my son." Finch's voice was dangerously calm. "No one does that without my permission." Carter took a step back. "What are your orders?" "Find Shaw. Bring him to me. Alive. And track Bond. He'll go after Vigil next. We'll be waiting." Carter hesitated. "The Prime Minister wants Bond eliminated on sight." "The Prime Minister," Finch said softly, "doesn't know what Bond is capable of. And neither do you." He looked down at Eris one last time, then turned away. There would be time to grieve later. If he survived. Vigil's headquarters was a sleek glass tower overlooking the Moss River. State-of-the-art security, biometric scanners, armed patrols, drone surveillance. Bond and Kravchenko watched from a van parked 2 blocks away, Lena monitoring their feeds. "I can disable the external cameras for 90 seconds, she said. "But once you're inside, you're on your own." 90 seconds is enough, Bond said, checking his gear. Kravchenko looked at him. "Why are you doing this? You could still walk away. Go somewhere they'll never find you. And let them win." Bond shook his head. "Elena didn't get to walk away. Eris didn't. Why should I?" Kravchenko nodded slowly. "Then let's finish it." They moved. Lena killed the cameras. Bond and Kravchenko slipped through a service entrance, neutralized 2 guards with silent takedowns, and made their way to the server room on the 3rd floor. Inside, rows of humming machines stored Vigil secrets, contracts, payments, assassination orders. Kravchenko connected a portable drive, began downloading. Bond stood guard, listening for footsteps. Then the lights went out. Emergency strips glowed red along the floor. "They know we're here," Bond said. "I need 3 more minutes." "We don't have 3 minutes." Heavy boots echoed in the corridor. Shouts. The click of weapons being armed. Bond readied his SIG. "Get what you can. Then get out." "What about you?" "I'll hold them off." Kravchenko looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not a spy, not a weapon, but a man choosing to stand where others fell. "For Elena," he said. "For Elena," Bond echoed. Then the door blew open. Bond fired twice. 2 figures fell. He moved behind a server rack as bullets tore through the air. Kravchenko worked frantically, the download bar crawling toward completion. 75%. 80%. Bond took out 2 more with precise shots, then ran out of ammo. He drew a combat knife, met the next attacker hand-to-hand, a brutal, silent struggle in the red gloom. Kravchenko's drive beeped. 100%. "Got it," he shouted. "Go. I'll cover you." Kravchenko didn't argue. He ran for the service elevator, Lena guiding him through the earpiece. Bond faced the remaining guards. 4 of them, advancing cautiously. He smiled. "Who's first?" They charged. 4 vigil operatives advanced through the red-lit darkness, weapons raised. Bond stood with his back to a humming server rack, combat knife in hand, outnumbered but not outmatched. The first operative lunged. Bond sidestepped, driving the knife into the man's thigh, twisting. A scream cut short as Bond elbowed his throat. The second fired. Bond rolled behind another rack, bullets sparking off metal. He came up low, swept the man's legs, then slammed his head into the server edge. 2 down. The remaining 2 hesitated, spreading out to flank him. Bond's earpiece crackled, Lena's voice, frantic. "Kravchenko is out. Police and STU are en route. You have maybe 90 seconds. He didn't have 90 seconds. The third operative charged, baton swinging. Bond ducked, caught the arm, broke it with a sickening crack, then disarmed him and turned the baton on the fourth. But the fourth was ready. He fired. Bond felt the bullet graze his side, a searing line of fire. He staggered, but didn't fall. With a roar, he closed the distance, baton meeting skull. Silence. He stood panting in the red dark, blood soaking through his shirt. The download drive was gone with Kravchenko. The mission was a success. Now he just had to live long enough to call it one. Kravchenko burst out of the service entrance into a fog-shrouded alley, the drive clutched in his hand. Lena waited on a motorcycle, engine idling. "Where's Bond?" "Still inside. We have to go. We can't leave him. He knew the risks." Lena's voice was hard, but her eyes were wet. "If we go back, we lose everything. The data, the truth, Elena's truth." Kravchenko looked back at the tower, then at the drive in his hand. Bond had given him this, had bought him this. He climbed onto the bike. Don't let his sacrifice be wasted. They vanished into the Rotterdam fog as sirens wailed in the distance. Bond stumbled out of the server room into the hallway, leaving a trail of blood behind him. He'd almost reached the stairwell when the lights blazed back on. STU tactical teams flooded the corridor, weapons trained on him. "Drop the knife. On your knees. Now." Bond dropped the knife. Slowly, he knelt. Alistair Finch stepped through the ranks, his face unreadable. "James Bond, you are under arrest for treason, espionage, and the murder of Sir Nigel Harrington." Bond looked up, his vision blurring. You know I didn't kill Harrington. I know what the evidence says. Finch motioned to his men. Cuff him and get a medic. I want him alive. As they dragged him to his feet, Bond met Finch's eyes. Your son died for this. Finch's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. They'd patched Bond's side, given him a clean shirt, and sat him in a sterile white room with a one-way mirror. No windows, no sound, just the hum of the air conditioner and the weight of what came next. Finch entered alone, placing a file on the table. You look like hell. Feel like it too. Finch sat opposite him, studying him for a long moment. Why did you go to Vigil? You know why. The data. Kravchenko has it now. Finch leaned forward. Where is he? Somewhere you'll never find him. We will. And when we do, we'll take the data and bury it. Just like we buried Elena. Just like we buried my son. Bond's eyes narrowed. You loved Eris. He was my son. Of course I loved him. Finch's voice cracked, just once. But love doesn't win wars. Sacrifice does. Is that what you tell yourself at night? Finch stood abruptly, pacing. You think you're the hero of this story? The lone knight fighting corruption? You're a weapon, Bond. Just like I am. And weapons get used, then they get discarded. Not this time. Finch stopped, looked at him. Reeves wants you dead. A public trial would expose too much. So he's given me a choice. Hand you over to Vigil for enhanced interrogation, or put a bullet in you myself and call it resisting arrest. And your choice. Finch didn't answer. Instead, he slid the file across the table. Open it. Bond did. Inside were photos, Elena's lab before the fire, her notes, and a list of every person who'd accessed Prometheus files in the month before her death. At the top, Prime Minister Alastair Reeves. Below, Sir Nigel Harrington. And below that, Graham Shaw, paid by Vigil Holdings. Shaw's dead, Bond said. I know. I killed him. Finch's expression was stone. But before he died, he gave me this. He placed a small audio recorder on the table, pressed play. Shaw's voice, trembling. It was Reeves. He gave the order. Harrington arranged it. I just made it look like an accident. Finch's voice, cold. Why? Shaw, because she was going to tell the world. And the world wasn't ready. The recording ended. Bond looked up. You had this all along. I had suspicions. Now I have proof. Finch took the recorder back. But proof isn't enough. Not against a prime minister. Not against the machine. So what now? Now, Finch said quietly, I make a choice. In a safe house outside Amsterdam, Kravchenko uploaded the Vigil data to a secure server, then sent a copy to Martin Croft at the BBC, and another to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. He included a note. This is what they killed for. This is what they lied for. Do not let them bury it again. Then he called Lena over. I need you to do something for me. Anything. Find Bond. Finch has him. And Finch is complicated. He might help us, or he might kill Bond to save himself. I need you to get Bond out. How? Use this. Kravchenko handed her a phone. There's one number in it. Call it when you're close. Someone will answer. Who? Someone who owes me a favor. Finch left Bond in the interrogation room, stepping into the observation chamber where Carter waited. Well, Carter asked. He doesn't know where Kravchenko is, or he won't say. Reeves is getting impatient. He wants Bond transferred to Vigil by noon. Finch nodded slowly. Prepare the transport, but take him the long way, through the docks. I'll meet you there. Carter studied him. You're not going to hand him over, are you? My orders are clear. Your son is dead because of those orders. Finch's eyes flashed. Don't. Sir, I've followed you for 15 years. Through things I still have nightmares about. But this is wrong. Bond's not the enemy. Reeves is. I know. Finch met his gaze. That's why I need you to do exactly what I say. And trust me. Carter hesitated, then nodded. Always. Bond was cuffed, hooded, and led out of the safe house into the back of an armored van. 2 STU agents sat across from him, silent. He could feel the vehicle moving, could hear the sounds of the city fading, replaced by the groan of ships and the cry of gulls. The docks. The van stopped. Doors opened. He was pulled out, the hood removed. He stood in a deserted warehouse, Carter and 4 STU agents around him. No Finch. Where is he? Bond asked. On his way, Carter said, but his voice was tense. Headlights cut through the dimness, a black SUV arriving. But it wasn't Finch who stepped out. It was 3 men in Vigil tactical gear, led by a tall, bald man with a scar across his cheek. Captain Bond, the man said, his accent South African. We've been looking forward to meeting you. Bond's muscles coiled. This was it. Interrogation. Torture. Death. But then Carter stepped between them. He's not yours. The Vigil leader smiled. Orders from the top. He's ours now. Not today. Carter drew his weapon. So did the Vigil team. A standoff, 5 against 4. Then a shot rang out, not from anyone in the room. The Vigil leader dropped, a hole between his eyes. From the shadows, Finch emerged, smoke curling from his silenced pistol. Anyone else want to challenge my authority? Finch motioned to Carter. Get him out of here. There's a boat at Pier 9. It'll take you to Belgium. Sir, what about you? I'll handle Reeves. Finch handed Bond a key. Locker 22 at Brussels Central. Passport, cash, and a file you need to see. Bond took the key. Why? Because Eris believed in you. And because I'm tired of burying the truth. Finch's eyes were weary. Now go. Before I change my mind. Bond didn't thank him. Some things went beyond thanks. He followed Carter out of the warehouse, into the cold dawn. Behind them, Finch picked up the dead Vigil leader's phone, dialed a number. Reeves answered, irritated. Well, it's done. Bond is dead. And the body? Dumped at sea. Never to be found. A pause. Good. Now clean up the rest. Kravchenko. The journalist. Everyone. Understood. Finch hung up, then dropped the phone into the harbor. He watched it sink, then turned and walked away, a man with nothing left to lose, and everything left to burn. Bond opened locker 22. Inside, as promised, passport, euros, a burner phone, and a file. He opened it, expecting more evidence, more names. Instead, he found a photograph of a young woman with Elena's eyes, a daughter he never knew she had. Living in secrecy in Switzerland, protected by Harrington until his death. And a note in Finch's handwriting. She's safe. For now. Finish this, Bond. For Elena. For Eris. For all of us. Bond stared at the photo, emotions he'd buried years ago rising like ghosts. He had one more reason to fight now. One more life to protect. In Downing Street, Prime Minister Reeves watched the news, reports of a shootout at Rotterdam's Vigil Holdings, rumors of data leaks, whispers of STU defections. He poured himself a whiskey, his hand steady. Helen Vance entered. Finch reported Bond is dead. Do you believe him? No. Neither do I. Reeves sipped his drink. Activate protocol blackout. Cut all ties to Vigil. Bury every file, every transaction, and send a team to Switzerland. There's a girl there. Elena's daughter. She's the last loose end. And if Bond finds her first? Reeves smiled thinly. Then we'll have bait. The safe house was a small chalet nestled in the Alpine foothills, surrounded by pines and silence. Inside, a girl of 10 with Elena's eyes and her mother's smile sat drawing at a wooden table, unaware that her world was about to shatter. Her guardian, an elderly woman named Greta who had been Elena's nanny once, watched from the window, a shotgun resting against the wall. She saw the black cars first, 2 of them, winding up the mountain road. Clara, she said calmly. Time for the cellar. The girl looked up, her eyes wide but not afraid. She'd been drilled for this. She grabbed her backpack, filled with clothes, a stuffed rabbit, and a photo of a woman she knew only as Mama, and followed Greta down to the hidden basement. Above, tires crunched on gravel. Doors slammed. Boots on the porch. Bond drove a rented sedan through the Swiss countryside, the photo of Elena's daughter, Clara, on the passenger seat. Finch's file had included coordinates, a security protocol, and a warning. Reeves knows. He will use her as leverage. Get her before he does. Bond's phone buzzed, a message from an encrypted number. They're at the chalet. 2 cars, 4 men. You have 10 minutes. Lena. She was watching. Bond pressed the accelerator, the engine whining as he took the mountain curves faster than safe. He didn't have 10 minutes. He had less. The Vigil team breached the front door with a controlled charge. They moved inside with practiced efficiency, clearing rooms, checking corners. Greta waited until the first man entered the living room before she fired the shotgun from the kitchen doorway. The blast took him in the chest. He went down, but the second man returned fire, shredding the kitchen door. Greta fell, clutching her side. The team leader, a man named Rostov, knelt beside her. Where's the girl? Greta spat blood. Go to hell. Rostov stood, nodding to his men. Find her. Tear this place apart, if you have to. Bond skidded to a halt behind the chalet, exiting the car before it fully stopped. He heard the shotgun blast, then automatic gunfire. Too late. He moved around the side, peering through a window. 2 guards stood in the living room, a third checking Greta's pulse. No sign of Clara. Bond kicked in the back door, firing twice. The 2 guards dropped. The third turned, but Bond was already on him, a knife to the throat. Where's the girl? The man choked, eyes wide. Basement. Hidden door. Bond knocked him out, then moved toward the kitchen where Greta lay bleeding. Her eyes fluttered open. James. Stay still. Help is coming. Clara. Behind the stove. Lever. Bond found it, a small metal lever disguised as a stove knob. He pulled it. A section of the floor swung open, revealing stairs. He descended into darkness. The basement was a small, cold room lined with shelves of preserves. In the corner, behind a rack of jars, Clara crouched, clutching her backpack. She didn't scream when she saw Bond. She just stared, her mother's eyes taking him in. "Are you here to hurt me?" she asked, her voice steady. "No. I'm here to take you somewhere safe." Greta said only one person would come for me. Someone my mother trusted. She said he'd have a scar above his left eyebrow. Bond touched the old wound, a knife fight in Istanbul years ago. Elena had stitched it herself. "I'm that person," he said softly. Clara stood, shouldering her pack. "Okay." No tears. No panic. Just trust. Bond felt something tighten in his chest. He'd failed Elena once. He wouldn't fail her daughter. Upstairs, Rostov radioed for backup. Target secured. One hostile neutralized. One still active. Bond. "He's here." The response crackled. "Hold position. More units en route. Do not let the girl leave." Rostov repositioned his remaining man at the front door, then took the back. They didn't see the motorcycle until it was too late. Lena came down the mountain road at speed, skidding to a halt beside the chalet. She dismounted, a compact submachine gun in her hands. She didn't hesitate. She opened fire. Bond led Clara up the stairs, hearing the gunfire outside. He peeked through the kitchen door. Lena was pinning down Rostov's man at the front. "Stay behind me," Bond told Clara. He moved into the living room, shooting the wounded guard before he could raise his weapon, then took cover behind an overturned sofa. Lena saw him, nodded once, then provided suppressing fire as Bond and Clara ran for the back door. They almost made it. Rostov stepped from the shadows of the woodshed, pistol aimed at Clara. "Stop right there, Bond." Bond froze, pushing Clara behind him. "Let her go," Bond said, his voice low. "She's a child. She's a loose end. Just like her mother." Rostov's finger tightened on the trigger. "Drop your weapon." Bond didn't move. Then a shot rang out, not from Rostov. Rostov stumbled, a red bloom spreading across his shoulder. He turned, firing wildly toward the trees. Kravchenko stepped into view, a hunting rifle in his hands. "Run, James." Bond didn't need telling twice. He scooped Clara up and ran for the car. They regrouped at a prearranged rendezvous, an abandoned barn 10 kilometers down the valley. Lena bandaged Kravchenko's arm where a stray bullet had grazed him, while Bond checked Clara for injuries. The girl sat on a hay bale, watching them with a solemn expression. "You knew my mother." It wasn't a question. Bond knelt before her. "Yes. She was very brave. Greta told me stories. She said my mother died because she tried to stop bad people." "She did. Are you going to stop them too?" Bond looked at Kravchenko, at Lena, then back at Clara. "Yes. We are." Clara nodded, then opened her backpack and pulled out a small, leather-bound journal. "Greta said to give this to you if you came. It's my mother's. She wrote in it every day." Bond took the journal, his hands trembling slightly. Elena's handwriting filled the pages, notes on ethics, on technology, on hope. And on the last page, a single line. "If I don't make it, tell Clara I loved her more than anything. And tell James. Finish what I started." Bond closed the journal, his throat tight. Kravchenko placed a hand on his shoulder. "We will." In London, Reeves watched the satellite feed of the chalet assault go dark. He knew Bond had the girl. He knew Kravchenko was still free. And he knew the data was out there, spreading like a virus. He turned to Helen Vance. "It's time for the final option." "Sir." "Protocol Prometheus. Initiate the wipe." That will erase every digital record of the project, including our own. I know, but it will also erase the evidence. No data, no proof, just rumors. Reeves's eyes were cold, and rumors don't bring down governments. And Bond, Kravchenko, let them run. They have nothing without the data, and without proof, they're just ghosts. Vance hesitated, then nodded. It will take 12 hours to activate. Do it. In the barn, Bond studied Elena's journal under the beam of a flashlight. Hidden in the margins were codes, server addresses, and a final message. Prometheus is not a weapon. It's a key. And the lock is at the Bank of England's historical archive. Find the ledger. It holds the truth. Bond looked up. We have a location. London. Kravchenko frowned. It's a trap. Reeves will be waiting. Probably. But it's the only move left. Bond stood. Lena, take Clara to the safe house in Liechtenstein. Keep her off the grid. And you. I'm going to London. To finish this. Kravchenko stood too. I'm coming with you. You don't have to. I do. Kravchenko's gaze was steady. For Elena. For Eris. For all of it. Bond nodded. Some roads were meant to be walked together. The Bank of England's historical archive was not in the main building. It was buried deep below street level in a fortified bunker near Threadneedle Street, accessible only through a series of biometric checks and a 19th-century vault door that weighed 7 tons. Bond and Kravchenko watched from a rooftop across the street, rain sheeting down around them. Security's lighter than expected, Kravchenko observed. Because Reeves wants us to go in, Bond replied. He'll lock the door behind us. So we're walking into a trap. We always were. Bond adjusted his earpiece. Lena, status? I've looped the exterior cameras. You have a 20-minute window before the next patrol. But internal sensors are on a separate system. I can't touch those. Understood. Keep watch. They descended through a maintenance hatch into the old underground tunnels, now used for fiber optic cables and forgotten steam pipes. The air inside the archive was cold and smelled of aged paper and ozone. Endless rows of metal shelves stretched into darkness, holding ledgers dating back to the bank's founding in 1694. According to Elena's journal, the Prometheus ledger was stored in Vault 7, behind a false panel in the 1832 financial crisis section. They moved silently, flashlights cutting thin beams through the dust. This is a museum of greed, Kravchenko whispered, running a finger over a leather-bound ledger labeled East India Company, Slave Trade Profits, 1763. Some truths are too ugly to display. That's why they hide them, Bond said. They found Vault 7, a small, circular room with a cast-iron door. The lock was mechanical, not digital. A puzzle. Kravchenko examined it. It needs 2 keys, turned simultaneously. Old bank protocol, to prevent a single person from accessing the most sensitive records. Where are the keys? According to Elena's notes, one is held by the governor of the Bank of England. The other was held by Harrington. Harrington's dead. But his key isn't. Kravchenko pulled a small, ornate brass key from his pocket. He gave it to me in Geneva. Said I might need it one day. Bond stared. You've had it this whole time? I didn't know what it was for. Not until I read Elena's journal. And the other key? A voice spoke from the darkness. I have it. Alistair Finch stepped into the light, holding a matching brass key. He looked older, wearier, but his eyes were clear. Bond's hand went to his weapon, but Finch raised his empty hands. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to help." "Why should we trust you?" Kravchenko asked, his voice tight. "Because I'm the one who told Lena where you were. Because I've been tracking Reeves's communications. And because..." Finch's voice broke. "Because my son died for this. And I won't let his death be meaningless." He extended the key. "The governor's key was stolen by Reeves's men tonight. I took it back." Bond studied him, the grief, the resolve, the shattered pride. He'd seen that look before. In the mirror. "What's in the vault?" Bond asked. "The original Prometheus contract. Signed by Reeves, Harrington, and the heads of 6 central banks. It outlines not just the weapon, but the plan to use it, to collapse economies, install puppet governments, and control the world's financial flow." Finch's gaze hardened. "It's not a theory. It's a blueprint." Bond took the key. "Then let's open it." The 2 keys turned in unison with a heavy clunk. The vault door swung inward, revealing a small chamber lined with climate-controlled glass cases. Inside one case lay a single ledger, bound in faded red leather. Kravchenko opened it carefully. The pages were filled with handwritten entries, signatures, and coded annotations. But as he turned to the last page, he froze. It was blank. "It's a decoy," he whispered. Finch stepped forward, examining the ledger. "No. Look." He pointed to the edge of the paper. A faint watermark, visible only at an angle. A series of numbers. "Coordinates," Bond said. "Not coordinates. IP addresses." Kravchenko pulled out a tablet, entered the numbers. A login screen appeared, demanding a passphrase. Elena's handwriting flashed in Bond's memory, a line from her journal. "The truth is not in the lock, but in the keyholder's heart." "Try this," Bond said. "For Clara." Kravchenko typed it. The screen unlocked. Files cascaded across the tablet. Contracts, video depositions, bank transfers, assassination orders. But the most damning was a video dated the night Elena died. It showed Reeves and Harrington in a private club, speaking quietly. Reeves: "She won't stop. She's too idealistic." Harrington: "I can talk to her." Reeves: "We're past talking. Make it clean. Make it quiet." Harrington, after a pause: "It will be done." The video ended. Kravchenko's hands shook. He gave the order. Directly. And Harrington carried it out. Finch finished. "But this is proof. Not speculation. Proof." Bond took the tablet. "We need to get this out. Now." "It's too late for that," a voice said from the doorway. Prime Minister Alistair Reeves stood at the entrance to Vault 7, flanked by 4 vigil operatives in full combat gear. He wore an overcoat over his suit, his expression calm, almost amused. "Gentlemen, I see you've been busy." Bond stepped in front of the ledger. "It's over, Reeves. The truth is out." "Is it?" Reeves smiled. "Because from where I'm standing, the truth is whatever I say it is. And I say you're 3 traitors who broke into a national archive to plant fake evidence." He nodded to his men. "Take the ledger, destroy the tablet, and kill them all." The vigil team moved. The vault was small, close quarters, no room for subtlety. Bond went for the lead operative, disarming him with a Krav Maga disarm, using the man's own rifle to take down the second. Kravchenko wasn't a fighter, but he was clever. He triggered the fire suppression system, filling the room with chemical foam that blinded the third operative long enough for Finch to tackle him. Reeves stayed back, watching as if it were a theater performance. The fourth operative lunged at Bond with a combat knife. Bond blocked, twisted, snapped the man's wrist. The knife clattered to the floor. But Reeves had drawn a small, elegant pistol, a collector's item, but deadly at this range. He aimed at Kravchenko. "You should have died in Vienna with her." He fired. Finch shoved Kravchenko aside. The bullet meant for Kravchenko's heart struck Finch in the shoulder. He grunted, collapsing against a glass case. Reeves turned the pistol on Bond. "Drop your weapon." Bond dropped the rifle. "Kick it away." He did. Reeves smiled. "You know, for a moment, I almost admired you. The lone wolf, fighting the system. But the system always wins, Bond. Because the system is people. And people are selfish, frightened, greedy, like me." "You're not like them," Bond said quietly. "You're worse. You had power. And you used it to murder a woman who believed in good." "Good?" Reeves laughed. "Good is a fairy tale. Power is the only truth." He aimed at Bond's head. "Any last words?" "Just one." Bond's eyes flickered past him. "Lena." From the shadows of the archive shelves, Lena fired. The shot took Reeves in the hand. His pistol spun away. He cried out, clutching his bleeding fingers. Bond was on him in an instant, disarming him, pinning him to the ground. "It's over," Bond said again, this time with finality. Lena helped Finch to his feet, applying pressure to his shoulder wound. Kravchenko retrieved the ledger and tablet. Reeves sat against the vault wall, hand wrapped in a torn piece of his own shirt, his defiance gone, replaced by a hollow exhaustion. "You think this changes anything?" he murmured. "There will be another me. Another Harrington. The system doesn't die. It just adapts." "Maybe," Bond said. "But you won't be part of it." Sirens wailed in the distance. Police, MI6, press. All alerted by Lena. The archive would soon be swarming. "We need to go," Lena said. Bond looked at Finch. "Can you walk?" Finch nodded, wincing. "Go. I'll stay. I'll give my statement. It's time I told the truth too." Kravchenko handed Bond the tablet. "The files are uploaded to 3 secure servers. The press already has them. It's done." Bond took one last look at Reeves, broken, bleeding, but still breathing. Justice would come. Not from a bullet, but from a court. From the world he tried to control. "Let's go," Bond said. They vanished into the tunnels as the first police officers burst into the archive. Bond stood on the rooftop where they'd started, watching the sunrise paint London in gold and gray. Below, the city was waking to headlines he knew would shake the world. Kravchenko joined him, the ledger under his arm. "What now?" "Now," Bond said, "we let the truth do its work. And us." Bond thought of Clara, safe in Liechtenstein. Of Elena, finally at peace. Of Eris and Finch and all the ghosts this night had laid to rest. "We disappear. For a while." Kravchenko nodded. "She would be proud. Of you. Of all of us." Bond didn't answer. Some things didn't need words. He looked east, where the sun was burning away the night. A new day. A new world. And for the first time in a long time, a future worth fighting for. The Prime Minister's residence was under siege, not by soldiers, but by cameras, reporters, and a crowd of citizens holding signs that read, "Tell the truth," and "Where is Reeves?" Inside, the atmosphere was funeral quiet. Alistair Reeves sat in his private study, a single untouched cup of tea growing cold on the desk. His hand was bandaged, his suit rumpled, his eyes fixed on the morning headlines scrolling across the television. BBC, PM linked to Prometheus scandal. Evidence reveals orders to kill. The Guardian, Bank of England vault raid. Whistleblowers expose global fraud. Reuters, international arrest warrant issued for PM Reeves. Helen Vance entered without knocking, her face pale. The cabinet has called an emergency vote. They're going to remove you. The king has been informed. Reeves didn't look away from the screen. And Bond vanished, along with Kravchenko and the woman. But they left the evidence. It's everywhere. Mainstream press, dark web, Interpol databases. There's no containing it. Finch, in MI6 custody. He's given a full confession. Naming you. Naming Harrington. Naming everyone. Reeves finally turned, his expression eerily calm. Then it's over. Sir, we have a car ready. The French have offered asylum. Quietly. You can still run. Reeves smiled faintly. No. I've spent my life building a legacy. I won't spend what's left of it hiding. He stood, straightened his tie, and walked to the window. The crowd below roared when they saw him. He picked up the phone, dialed a number he knew by heart. This is Alistair Reeves. I wish to surrender myself to the Metropolitan Police. Yes. I'll be waiting. He hung up, looked at Vance one last time. Thank you, Helen. Now go, before they paint you with the same brush. She hesitated, then nodded, tears in her eyes as she left. Reeves picked up the cold tea, took one sip, then placed the cup neatly back on the saucer. A lifetime of power, ended by a choice he made 10 years ago, and a woman who refused to stay silent. Alistair Finch sat across from the new acting director of MI6, a stern woman in her 50s named Catherine Thorne. His shoulder was bandaged, his face drawn, but his voice was clear. I authorized the operation to retrieve the Prometheus ledger. I facilitated Bond's escape. I withheld intelligence from the Prime Minister. I am responsible for the deaths of Elena Petrova and my son, Eris Finch. Thorne watched him, her expression unreadable. You realize this confession will result in life imprisonment, possibly treason charges. I do. Why now? After all these years of silence. Finch met her gaze. Because my son believed in something more than orders. And because I finally learned that some oaths are worth breaking. Thorne leaned back. Where is Bond? I don't know. And Kravchenko? Also don't know. But you helped them. I did. Finch's voice softened. And if I had to do it again, I would. Thorne studied him for a long moment, then closed her folder. You'll be transferred to a secure facility. Your cooperation will be noted. But I can't promise leniency. I'm not asking for any. 2 guards entered to lead him away. As he passed Thorne, he paused. Tell Bond. Tell him I'm sorry. For everything. Thorne nodded once. Finch left, his head held higher than it had been in years. Clara sat at a sunlit table, drawing in a sketchbook Lena had given her. Outside, snow dusted the Alps, and the world felt very far away. Bond watched her from the doorway, a strange tightness in his chest. She looked so much like Elena, the same tilt of the head, the same intense focus. Lena joined him, handing him a coffee. She's tough. Like her mother. She shouldn't have to be. None of us should. Lena sipped her own coffee. The news is everywhere. Reeves has been arrested. Finch is in custody. Prometheus is being dismantled. Publicly. It's over. Is it? She looked at him. What else is there? The people who funded it. The bankers. The politicians in other countries. The system Reeves talked about, it's bigger than one man. So what? You're going to take on the whole world. Bond didn't answer. He didn't have to. Kravchenko entered. His arm in a sling, a tablet under his good arm. I've been monitoring the data leak. It's spreading. Governments are falling in 3 countries. Stock markets are volatile but stabilizing. And they've posthumously cleared Elena's name. Officially. Bond closed his eyes for a second. Finally. Justice, or the closest thing to it. What will you do now? Bond asked him. Kravchenko looked out at the mountains. I have a sister to reunite with, and a project to start, a real one, using technology to protect, not control. Elena would have liked that. She would. Kravchenko turned to him. And you? Bond's gaze returned to Clara. I have a promise to keep. It was a small, private ceremony in a rain-slicked churchyard. Only a handful of people, STU colleagues who'd risked their careers to attend, Lena, Kravchenko, and Bond, standing at a distance. Finch wasn't there. He was in a high-security prison awaiting trial. But he'd sent a letter, read aloud by an old friend. Eris believed in truth, in goodness, in a world where secrets didn't have to cost lives. I failed him in life, but I will honor him in death. Let his memory be a light, not a shadow. As the coffin was lowered, Bond placed a single white rose on the grave. Eris had been a hacker, a son, a friend, and in the end, a hero. Lena stood beside him, tears on her cheeks. He was just a kid. He was brave, Bond said. That's what matters. They left as the rain began to fall harder, washing the old world clean. Bond sat with Clara on the porch of the safe house, wrapped in blankets, watching the stars emerge over the mountains. Are you going away? She asked quietly. For a little while. But I'll come back. I promise. My mother used to promise that too. Clara's voice was small. She didn't come back. Bond's throat tightened. I know. And I'm so sorry. Was she brave? The bravest person I ever knew. Clara nodded, absorbing that. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, smooth stone, one she'd picked up from the chalet's garden. Take this, so you don't forget. Bond took the stone, closing his fingers around its warmth. I won't forget. She leaned against him, and for a while, they just sat in silence, 2 broken people under a sky full of stars, finding a fragile peace. A week later, Bond met Catherine Thorne in a quiet London park. She handed him a new passport, a new identity, and a file. James Bond is officially dead. Killed in the raid on the Bank of England. This is your new name. Your new life. Bond opened the file. Inside was a photograph of a man he didn't recognize, but would become, and a list of assignments. Not spy missions. Protection details. Whistleblower extractions. Truth preservation. We're creating a new division, Thorne said. Unofficial. Off the books. No politicians, no budgets, no oversight. Just people who want to do what's right. We're calling it the Sentinel Initiative. Bond looked up. Why me? Because you've seen the worst the system can do, and you still fight. We need that. The world needs that. He thought of Elena, of Eris, of Clara, of all the ghosts he carried. Who's in charge? You are. If you want it. Bond closed the file. I want it. At Zurich airport, Kravchenko hugged Lena goodbye. You're sure you won't come with me? Vilnius is beautiful in the spring. Lena smiled, but shook her head. I have work to do here. With Bond's new initiative, someone has to keep him out of trouble. Kravchenko nodded. Then take care of him. And yourself. He turned to Bond, offering his hand. Bond shook it, then pulled him into a brief, firm embrace. No words were needed. Some bonds went deeper than language. If you ever need me, Kravchenko said. I know. And then he was gone, walking toward a future he'd never thought he'd have. Free, forgiven, and finally at peace. Bond stood on the same rooftop where he'd watched the sunrise after the vault, but this time, the city felt different. Lighter. Hopeful. Lena joined him, handing him a coffee. First assignment comes in tomorrow. A journalist in Istanbul. Someone's trying to silence her. Bond took the coffee. Then we'll be there. We. He looked at her. You're not going anywhere, are you? Not a chance. He smiled, a real one, rare and warm. Good. They stood in silence, watching the city wake up. A new day. A new fight. But this time, on their own terms. Months later, in a small school in Liechtenstein, Clara stood on a stage, accepting an award for an essay she'd written about courage. In the back of the auditorium, Bond watched, unseen. He saw her confidence, her smile, the light in her eyes. Elena's light. He placed the smooth stone Clara had given him on an empty seat, then turned and walked away. He had work to do, a world to protect, and a promise to keep, to the living and to the dead. This concludes the main story arc of Midnight Protocol. If you wish, we can continue with the Sentinel Initiative missions, or explore new threats in future volumes. Thank you for embarking on this journey with Bond, Kravchenko, Lena, and all the characters. The fight for truth never ends, but neither does hope.